Some of you may have noticed too that we initially advertised this as a 60-minute webinar, and then made the switch to a 30-minute webinar. We're actually trying to shift all of our webinars to 30 minutes because, frankly, your time is very, very valuable. That being said, we still have a little more content than we could squeeze into 30 minutes. So those of you who were planning on 60 minutes, we're going to have sort of a director's cut, if you will, of the webinar, where we're going to go a little bit deeper into some of the success stories, talk a little bit more about some of the specific use cases. For now, I want to go ahead and just dive a little bit into after college and start off by way of introduction, talking about myself. My favorite topic. My name's Matt Baum. I am the Director of Talent Solutions here at AfterCollege. And I've been in this space, the online recruitment space, for about 10 years. I started out at Yahoo back when they still had hotjobs.com, some of you may remember. I spent about 4 years running inside sales teams at Simply Hired, job aggregator that I'm assuming many of you are familiar with, like Indeed, the Google for jobs, as we like to call ourselves. I also worked for a company called Work4. They were called Work4 Labs when I was there, actually. And ironically, I had met the founder, Roberto Angulo, of AfterCollege back in about 2009, 2010. I came to the AfterCollege offices for a seminar led by Aaron Ross. Aaron Ross does sales seminars about what they call the predictable revenue model, and he was sort of a pioneer of modern content marketing and modern sales strategies that are starting to creep into recruitment a lot. And so some of you may be familiar with the Aaron Ross methodology. I came and I got I took that seminar here, and then fast forward to 2012, I was at Work4 Labs, and I was partnering with job boards to help them promote their job content on Facebook and other social media sites. And I was actually calling AfterCollege, calling Roberto to try to sell him their product. And connected with Roberto, we got to talking about inside sales and our philosophies, and next thing you know, I'm at AfterCollege. And so, really love being here. Been here about 2 years, and feel like I've mastered a lot of different skills here. Maybe not mastered, but I've learned a lot of different skills here, and I've learned a lot about the space, and really makes me feel like a tough guy to have gone through all the crazy things that I've gone through here. And I hope that some of the things I can share with you that I've learned and that we've learned as a company about university recruiting will be helpful to you. I'm going to kick it off too by talking a little bit about what we do in sort of the simplest of terms. How it works is that we take your message and we push it out to the AfterCollege audience. And so the audience is comprised of two pieces. We have our 1.3 million AfterCollege users. And those users, they're registered with us. We know everything about them. We know what school they went to. We know their major. And we take your message, distribute it to the ones for whom it's relevant. If you're looking for physical therapists, we're not going to send it to computer science majors. And then the other half of that audience, the other portion of that audience, is represented by our 18,000 faculty contacts. This is one of the things we do that is so truly unique that nobody else can do, and that's because for the 15 years almost that we've been in business, we have been working on building our relationships with these faculty contacts year after year, and so these faculty members, and just to back up a bit, U.S. News does a study every year about the biggest influencers on students' career choices. And like clockwork, every year, number one is their family. Kids still listen to their parents. Obviously, that makes sense. And like clockwork, every year, number two is faculty. Faculty are some of the biggest influencers because they spend the most time with these kids, because they have the experience, because they can help those kids connect what they're learning in school to their career. So we take these 18,000 faculty relationships, we distribute your content to the ones for whom it's relevant, just like we do with the students, and that's what gives us that 5 million students of total reach. We know we get 5 million different people coming and looking at our content every year on average, with only 1.3 million of them being registered active users. We know that these are these passive student job seekers who are getting our message secondhand from faculty or from a student group that they're a member of. And so that's where we get that much wider reach from. I want to talk specifically about why they love working with us, both the students and the faculty, though, and what makes us so unique and so special. In my opinion, obviously, I wouldn't be here if I didn't think so. Um, I want to take one more chance here, though, to kind of be as upfront as humanly possible, give you guys a chance to bail. I don't want to waste anyone's time, but I want to clarify, After College Inside Out, this is not a part of our educational webinar series that some of you may be familiar with, University Recruitment Essentials. This is a whole new series. After College Inside Out is intended to give you deeper insight into why we have so many long-standing clients and how we can be successful for you. So yes, it's a sales pitch. It's not entirely a sales pitch. There's going to be some things that are educational and interesting for you. We are really going to try to make it fun and not too much of a full-on infomercial for you nice folks. I really want to make sure that it's engaging and interesting. And I also see we have some current customers on the call. Really appreciate you guys joining, and hopefully we can give you a lot of good information about what's new and different here, so you can make the most of your relationship with us already. But why do students love us? Primary reason, number one, because they hate the current job search process as it exists. All you have to do, look no further than some of the online media that these students engage with. Site like BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed's one of their favorite sites, and I found this article with great ease on BuzzFeed. It was easy to find people complaining about job search. This article is called 25 Reasons the Job Search Sucks, as told by frustrated cats. I found another site. This site takes the cake for I think the best domain name. It's sooverthis.com, and sooverthis.com had an article called 10 Things I Hate About Looking for Jobs. The kind of, I think the representative case here that I think demonstrates really the mob mentality and hatred towards the current job search is Reddit, though. If you're not familiar with Reddit's kind of the message board of the world now. There's what they call subreddits, mini message boards within Reddit for every single topic you can think of. And I was looking on Reddit and looking at people talking about jobs, and I found Reddit user Unearth164, as well as 157 commenters, wrote a very popular post called "Job Hunting Beep Sucks." And if you can imagine, if I didn't censor the word "sucks," you can imagine what I did censor. I don't want to be crass, but I think it's important that you understand the millennials are not satisfied with the job search, and it's pretty funny considering that most of you on the line are probably saying, "Man, it's so hard to find the right people to fill these entry-level positions," and they're saying, "Man, it's so hard to find jobs." And somebody has to step up and connect the two of them, and that's really our goal here, is to eliminate unemployment for college students. So, college students, they kind of feel like they're being bombarded by so many different messages, and they have so many different challenges that they have to contend with. Experience. You hear it all the time. Can't get a job without experience. Can't get experience without a job. That is one of the toughest things that students have to overcome. Entry-level jobs that still require skills they can't learn at school, and interviewing skills being one of them. I talk to so many of you that tell me, boy, these kids that are coming out of school these days, they just have no idea how to interview. They have no idea how to get through a job search. They don't know how to look for a job. Not unlike you and I, these students suffer from the same major problem, which is a challenge of a lack of time. They're studying, they're socializing, they're just living, and all that stuff gets in the way. As a student, you remember probably, I imagine, that studying takes up a lot of time, but the socializing element is a super important part of college. And people say, oh, you eliminate the socializing and you focus on your career. Well, that's not realistic for these kids, and nor should it be. So we have to find a way to connect with them that doesn't get in the way of all these other things they want to do in their lives. Applying to jobs and attending events can be really, really time-consuming. So we have to make sure that we connect them with the right jobs and the right events and put them in the right place at the right time, and not waste their time. Their time is valuable just like yours. Another issue, education. I touched on the schools don't teach how to apply and interview for jobs. There are exceptions. There are some great career centers out there that are very helpful to students. There are some classes at certain schools that are helpful. But most schools, you won't find that sort of help, that sort of hand-holding. I hear a lot of people complaining that the career centers are not that useful in this day and age, that they're not, a lot of career centers are not very digital. I have a rep on my team who went to UC Santa Barbara and says he was a classics major, history, and walked in and said, "Hey, I'm a classics major. What should I do for my career?" And they handed him a binder of old printed out jobs to look through. You can imagine, this was only just a couple of years ago. That if UC Santa Barbara was still that out of date then, you can imagine what, how far schools could have come in the last 2 years. It's not all that far, to be honest. And then another challenge is ignorance. And you hear the word ignorance, and it sounds like such a pejorative. It sounds so negative. The reality is, ignorance is just a lack of knowledge. It's just not knowing. And students, they don't know what they want to do. That's a form of ignorance. They don't know what career options are out there for them. They don't know how to become the person they want to be. This generation especially has been told, if you can dream it, you can do it. Whatever you want to be, you can be it. You just have to put your mind to it. And as it turns out, putting your mind to anything is not enough. You actually have to put your feet and your hands and your brain and your mouth to it. You can't just sit there and think about it and become what you want to be. And of course, the classic, the symbol of all ignorance, students don't know what they don't know. And job discovery, which we'll talk about later, is a great example of that. Again, I have a sales team here that it's comprised mostly of people who did not take business or sales or finance or marketing as their major. History, classics, theater. I've had a chemistry major. People from all sorts of different walks of life end up in sales careers because they didn't know that it was out there, and then finally, usually after working in some jobs that they hate, they stumbled into it. So let's talk a little bit more about why students and faculty love AfterCollege. We are student-focused. The site itself is student-focused. We as a company are student-focused. That doesn't mean that we don't love you guys, our clients, but obviously if we focus on the students first, that will bode well for you, the client. So we give away scholarships. We give away our $1 millionth this year. We have a blog, and there's tons of great guidance for students and new grads on our blog. We're posting new stuff every single day. On the weekends even, I get emails about the new blog. Make sure you go subscribe to our student blog to see what the students are doing. And that's at blog.aftercollege.com. Also we have an employer blog. And we'll talk more about that later, but all of our employer resources are found where you found this webinar, employer.aftercollege.com. The other thing that they love about us is job discovery. I just mentioned it a second ago. What is job discovery? Well, job discovery is Explore. And Explore is this technology that we have that essentially allows you to eliminate job search, to eliminate keyword search. The Explorer is really cool because it is chock full of buzzwords, man. It's got all the cool trendy buzzwords like big data and machine learning, so I'll step into Explorer for 1 second here and show you how it works. You come to our site. You just put in your school, your major, and your graduation date, and then you hit Explore now, and we feed you jobs that are interesting or relevant to you. And then when you see one that you like, you can click on it to apply, or you can click follow to follow the company if you're interested in that company. And we'll talk more about following and our talent network in a second here. Another thing that students really love is that we have a strong mobile experience. The mobile experience is really optimized for wherever and whenever students spend their time online. We want to make sure that we can connect with them in the places where it's most convenient for them. So that is to say, we offer the same job search functionality, the same Explore functionality, I should say, job discovery technology on a mobile device. And really, this is one of the places where it's most fun. It's really awesome to engage with our site because what you do is you look at the job content on your mobile device, and it works the same way on a browser, but you can look at the job content on your mobile device and you can click this smiley face or this frowny face and let us know you like this job or you don't like this job. And as you give us that feedback, the machine learning element kicks in, it gets smarter and gives better and better recommendations. Same thing goes for different categories of jobs. You can say, in general, I don't like sales, or in general, I do like customer service. And when you give us that feedback, we get more intelligent, we serve up more and more relevant suggestions. And of course, we do the same thing for events and scholarships. We'll talk about that a little more in a second. By the way, all of these things that we do, all this machine learning, this profiling, so to speak, of students to give them the right content also applies to the email that we send them, the digest that we send them. And I'll show you some examples of that in a moment as well. Let's talk about some of the reasons why faculty specifically love AfterCollege, and it all really comes down to how easy we are to work with. All you have to do is take the message and pass it on. Professors opt in to pass our messages on to their students. They've agreed to do it. They know the deal, and they come in willing to do so. And so, our clients, our advertisers, they, like I said, get the audience of our registered users, but they also get the audience of the faculty and the people that the faculty pass this message on to. I want to tell a quick story here. Two quick stories, actually. I was talking to one of my clients, and she actually worked in a career center for many years before she got into recruiting. One of the things that she said is, I always thought there were two kinds of professors. I always think that's funny because you can split anybody into two groups. But yes, of course, there's two kinds. But the groups she defined were really interesting. There's professors who just don't give a darn about helping their students find jobs. It's not my job, not my responsibility. That's the career center. That's not me. I don't have to do that. I'm here to teach them biology, or I'm here to teach them, psychology. And that group, there's another group which is super active, super interested in helping students find jobs, and that group, they really feel like this is their responsibility. They're supposed to teach their topic, but if they're not helping their students actually find jobs and helping prepare them for their career, then what they're doing is kind of a waste. AfterCollege is kind of intelligently placed right in between the two. You can be in either group, and AfterCollege can be of use to you, because if you're the kind of professor who doesn't like to help students find jobs, but all you have to do is hit forward on an email and pass it on to your class in a couple clicks, well, then you get rid of that guilt of saying, man, I'm not doing anything to help my students while all of my colleagues are. Just a couple clicks, you've passed it on and you've done your bit. But if you're one of those folks who really actively engages in helping your students find jobs, you can do the same thing. You can click, pass it on, and they can sort of act on it as they see fit. But you can also do what happened in the case of, I believe it was State Street, I think, was the client. One of our clients, they were looking in Kansas City for folks. Tough market, small schools there. And a professor actually passed on a message to all of his students, but he also printed out a copy, walked up to one particular student, and he said, this is perfect for you. You should really look at this, and you should really apply for this. You would do great at this. And so she did, and she got the job, and State Street told us a story about how successful it was and how awesome it was. And hearing those sort of stories is part of what makes me so excited to come to work every day. We make it so easy for faculty to help connect employers and students. And there's no need to have recruiters in the classroom all the time. You guys definitely want to get in that classroom. I'm not telling you to change anything that you're doing. If you can get in there, get in there. A lot of faculty members are at their saturation point. They can't have more people taking up more of their class's time. They don't want to be wined and dined. They don't want you to take them out to lunch. They really are maybe or maybe not interested in human contact. So with us, we make human contact optional. We have a university relations team that does outreach, that picks up the phone, that meets folks in person at conferences, and they try to interact with these faculty members in a way that is meaningful and useful for them. They are really the key, the lifeblood of this company. But again, faculty can sign up without ever having human contact. Faculty can interact purely over email, and then it kind of fits in where they have the time and they have the bandwidth. A few other things that are great about us. Inside university relations, I touched on why university relations is so important a second ago, but I want to dive a little bit deeper, because what you see is not all that you get. You see, when you sign up with us, when you're first looking to sign up with us, I should say, we will put together what we call a reach report or an inventory report. It gives you details about the students, the faculty, and the student groups that we can reach that are relevant for you. And gives you the numbers, here's how many students, here's how many professors, yada, yada, yada. That's an amazing start. We can do so much with the people that we have reach of. But university relations doesn't stop there. With each campaign, UR will look and see if they can add new contacts at those target schools. They'll follow up to ensure receipt and to ensure that those campaigns are getting forwarded. So again, part of the State Street story is that they were going to University of Missouri at Kansas City, UMKC. We had about 3 contacts that were relevant for the types of jobs that they had that we thought would want to pass this on to their students. 3 contacts isn't bad for a school as small as UMKC, but our university relations team was happy to dive right in there and make a difference, and they actually got up to 11 contacts, brand new, fresh contacts who had just talked to us, who knew what we were about, who knew to expect the message and passed it on. So again, that's part of why State Street had so much success. So you're not just buying into what we have today, you're buying into what we can build tomorrow. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about your challenges, because your challenges are unique and different from everybody else's. And so I want to touch on what a few of them might be and see what we can do to help you with those. First and foremost, branding. You have the situation that qualified applicants aren't interested in coming to work for you. Nobody shows up at your events. Competition keeps beating you to the punch. Some of you may or may not have this experience because of your brand. You may have a brand that's a name. Your name is ABC Co. or XYZ Co. or your name is Acme. It's a company name that just doesn't ring true with people if they don't know. Maybe it doesn't have a consumer brand tied into it. And we all know your employment brand is different from your consumer brand. So, students don't necessarily know exactly what to expect from you. So what we do is we try to establish your brand, get your brand visibility in front of those students so that they know what to expect. They have an idea of what the career path looks like there, what the benefits are of working for you, and why they should consider working for you over Facebook or Google or Apple. And if you are Facebook or Google or Apple, we'll help you too. But that's one of the big challenges. Visibility is one of the other challenges. My jobs don't attract enough applicants. My events don't fill up with quality candidates. Those are issues where even if you have a great brand, visibility can be an issue. Visibility can be a big problem because you're not necessarily getting your jobs out in front of the right audience. Job boards don't necessarily get you out in front of those students when you need to get out in front of them, which can be freshman, sophomore, junior year. Your competition, the big 4 accounting firms and consulting firms and companies like Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they're getting out there freshman year. Some of them are getting out there in high school. So we want to help you establish yourself from day one. We want to help with a 4-year plan, really. That puts you in front of those students over the entire course of their college career and reinforces the message time and time again. We also recognize that you have other challenges like time and bandwidth restrictions. Maybe you don't have enough time to build those faculty relationships. That's where our virtual or digital analog of those relationships comes into play. That's where we can help connect you with those faculty members that you, again, can't connect with in person, don't want to connect with in person, don't have the bandwidth to connect with in person. You might not have the time or money to travel to campuses either. So this is, again, a great way to get in front of those students, in front of those faculty virtually. Another big challenge that everybody has, this one kind of goes without saying, but budgetary restrictions. Sometimes you don't have the budget necessary to hire more, to travel more, to advertise more, or to offer more money to solve the above problems. So budgetary restrictions are tough. What we can often do, though, is for those schools that are on the brink, where you're not sure if you should travel there or not, where you're not sure you can afford to travel there or not, for the cost of traveling to those schools, we can do multiple really effective email campaigns and kind of hammer away at that audience, make sure we're getting in front of the students, in front of the faculty, do the UR follow-up to make sure to ensure that the messages are being received and passed on, and ultimately save you some money. And then we also have pricing plans, obviously, that are built to save you money when you buy in bulk. And we can touch on that towards the end. Obviously, that's not what I'm here to talk about primarily. A few other things I want to get to, and then we're going to take the 30-minute break, so to speak, for those of you who have to leave at the half-hour mark and try to answer. I think we might have a couple questions here. So these are some of our sample clients, and every company has their brag sheet, as I like to call it. Here's the companies that we work for. Here's why we're so amazing. Yada yada yada. That's great. I think working with a wide variety of companies and connecting them with top talent is really what we pride ourselves in. It's not just the big names like Intel and SanDisk. It's also that we worked with Marin Software and Airbnb when they were just startups. We can help small companies, big companies. We can help companies with big brand names like Nestle and Target in the retail space. We can help insurance companies like Mutual of Omaha or Farmers or AAA. We can help healthcare companies. We do a ton of great work in healthcare for Lucille Packard, Children's National Medical Center, the VA. And then also all sorts of great government organizations: CIA, National Guard, NYPD, City of San Francisco. We developed a great relationship with the City of San Francisco, and I'll touch on that in a second. And then our longest-standing client, NSA. NSA has been running with us for over a decade now, straight, consistently. So we are helping these companies not just with a quick hit. Obviously, you can post a job with us and wait 30 days and get the responses and kind of smash and grab and just go leave essentially. But sticking with us over the years is what really pays dividends, because you see this exponential growth. I want to talk about LSI in a few minutes, and that's a great case study. A few more things just really quickly I want to highlight. Pinpoint targeting. I talked about how we target the audiences we target your message to the right audiences. Here's some examples. This is for the healthcare space. We target specific schools within these universities, like the School of Nursing at Duke University, and then we can target specific student groups. Whether it's the American Association of Colleges of Nursing, or some of these Greek organizations. Outside of healthcare, some other examples. Here's some engineering examples. Economics example thrown in there as well. These are where a lot of our customers see some of their biggest impact. NSBE, SWE, SHIP. If you're recruiting engineers, you know about the National Society of Black Engineers and the Society of Women Engineers. You know the presence that they have on campus, and you know how valuable relationships with them is. So they can pass on your message as well. I want to talk a little bit more about some of our solutions and kind of go a little bit in depth into some of the things that you see here. Might look like a daunting list, but we're going to knock them out really quickly. First, I just want to double check and see, do we have any questions? Okay, I think all the we had some questions that were answered individually, one-to-one, that were specific. If you have broad questions, I'd love to answer them for everybody. But yeah, don't hesitate. If you have a specific question that's only really relevant to you, go ahead and ask it. My partner Austin here will be happy to answer it for you. Cool. So let's dive in a little bit more here into our solutions, because our solutions include a wide variety of different ways to hit that audience, to hit that student audience, and leverage those faculty relationships. Custom email messaging, promoted jobs, on-campus events, our digest emails. So I want to give you some examples here. This is I want to talk about our email outreach platform. Custom email campaigns designed to hit registered users and faculty. This is kind of the core of what we do. This is the most important thing that we offer. And just for example here, here's a plain text email. And here's what, believe it or not, is also a plain text email. The second one that you see here is a plain text email that we ran for the City of San Francisco. I mentioned that a second ago. And the City of San Francisco has really developed a great partnership with us. And what's so cool is that we were able to build out this campaign for them. Now, I want to make it very clear, we don't traditionally do the creative for our customers. Our customers usually bring us the completed creative, and then that's what we run with. That's what we take, and that's what we utilize to promote your content. Now, taking that a step further, though, a lot of times customers come to us with incomplete creative. They come to us with just an idea. They come to us with a suggestion. They're not exactly sure what they want to do, and that's fine. We are happy to help those customers as well. And so what we do for them is we look at what they're trying to accomplish. We ask, what are your goals? What are your challenges? Who is the audience you're trying to reach? And how can we best help you reach them? And so when we do that, as you can see here, what we try to do is make sure that we have a clear idea of what the goal of each campaign is, and then we utilize things like maybe simply the job description or a description of the company, in this case the city of San Francisco. And so what we did in their case, we actually have these awesome new templates, pre-made templates created by the professionals, designed by professional designers, tested thoroughly to make sure that they are as effective as humanly possible. So believe it or not, this started out as a plain text email campaign from the city of San Francisco. It was just Golden Gate Bridge that I dropped in. We took that image, dropped it in the Golden Gate Bridge, dropped the text into the template, and turned it into this beautiful, rich HTML message. Again, that's really easy to do. You don't have to have all the fancy stuff. You don't have to have access to your marketing department. I know that that's a big challenge for a lot of my customers. You might have great people in marketing, but you have to tell them 6 months before you need anything. You have to get slotted in their backlog. You have to get pushed out of the backlog a couple times and fight your way back up into it. Getting marketing to do your work, to do the projects that you put in front of them, really, really challenging for a lot of my customers. So again, we can do that work for you, and we're happy to do that whenever we can. Another example, though, is that a lot of customers come to us with beautiful, complete creative. Like in this case, this is PG&E. PG&E is they're Pacific Gas and Electric. A lot of customers out here are probably familiar with them because they're here in the Bay Area. If you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you get your electrical bill from PG&E. When they recruit folks from Oregon and Washington and Nevada, those people maybe have never heard of PG&E. So those folks, we have to get a branded message out in front of them. And that's why PG&E, they had their marketing team or their agency put together all this cool stuff with the, here's Golden Gate Bridge and the happy, smiling, diverse set of students, and here's the solar panels to show you that they care about clean energy. And so this is a great example where they brought us finished creative and we distributed that message for them. Another good example of that, NYPD. They had their Community Career Day for 2014, wanted to get a big push out to schools, promote NYPDrecruit.com, promote their 212 recruit phone line. Really, they have a bunch of different ways for bringing in candidates, but they really wanted everybody to RSVP to this event, and that's where our event marketing tools come in really handy, because students can actually say whether or not they're coming. One of the great things is, even if they don't make it, you still get their contact info. And then another good example is Fidelity. So, just another beautifully crafted email, really talking about how Fidelity helps support their career, and again, making the career brand the focus, and not just about a specific job. Filling a job, filling an internship, that is a great goal, a great result of working with us. Really, though, the primary goal should be to build your brand, to see growth in your followers, to see growth in people who've shown interest in you, to see increased traffic, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So, that's what our best customers are doing, or some of our best customers, I should say. You're all my best customer. Event promotion. I touched on it a second ago, though. I can't stress enough. This is where so many of our customers have so much success, because doing an on-campus event is a big investment. You spend thousands of dollars flying out a team. You spend money on the booth. Sometimes you have to pay to register and be a part of it. Moving in, moving out, all that stuff costs money. A lot of states you have to hire union people to move your stuff in and out, even if all you have is a little umbrella pop-up stand. We help you make sure the money you invest in those in those events is not wasted. We're an insurance policy. Our promotion makes sure that those events go well. Theoretically, everybody could do events without any help from promotion, and the idea would be that students would flock to them because they are so well aware of everything that's going on their campus or around their campus. Going back to that point about ignorance, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know you're coming. They're not going to show up. So event promotion is super vital, and as you can see, we put the events right alongside the job postings here on our site, and then we also email the events directly to the students. When they click through, they can RSVP, and like I said, even if they don't make it, Once they RSVP, once they give us the info, you have that info, and you can contact that student and recruit them. Now, if we're going to talk about your brand and scholarships, if we're going to talk about your brand, we need to talk about scholarships. Scholarship offering, it's funny because we'd been doing scholarships for years, and we started doing it long before we sold it as a product because we knew scholarships were a great way to bring students into after college, to get them interested in what we did. And so we've been doing it for probably 3 or 4 years, as I recall. I've only heard the story secondhand because I wasn't here yet. And employers actually started coming to us and asking, can we give you a few grand and slap our name and logo on that scholarship that you're doing? Can we help you promote it? Can we get our name out? Can you let us sponsor it, essentially? And that's when the light bulb went off above the team's heads, and they said, wow, this is a product. This is something we should be offering to everybody. So it is such a great opportunity to get your brand out in front of people. So these scholarship offerings that we have, they vary, usually $500, sometimes $1,000 is the prize. And one of the really cool things that we've done, we've tried to make this really, really affordable. Normally companies, they don't get involved in scholarship programs, and one of the number one reasons why we find that companies that do a ton of college recruiting still don't get involved in scholarships, it's primarily the cost. So we've brought it down to the point where you're now paying $995 to promote a $500 scholarship with your name on it. We do all the promotion, we do all the work, we build it, we pick the winner. You can help pick the winner if you so choose. You're welcome to be involved in that. But we'll do all the work, and we'll put your name and logo on it. You can create a custom scholarship that targets your specific audience. And again, $995, and $500 of that is the prize money that goes to the students. So it's really, really inexpensive. And I'll be really, really candid here. Probably about a year and a half back, we had a product manager tell us, we should never charge less than $6,000 for a scholarship. Our competitors are charging $10,000 for these scholarships, and I think that I get that. We've invested enough time and energy into it that it's worth that. It may quote unquote cost us that in labor, but the reality is we are doing these scholarships whether they get sponsored or not, because we know how important and how valuable they are, and we know what a good investment they are. So we continue to have our university relations team do them year after year, quarter after quarter, semester after semester, and we're happy to have our logo on them, even if no one else is available to sponsor them. But at this new price point, we're seeing a lot of them are starting to sell out. We're seeing a lot of some of the STEM specific scholarships are starting to sell for the year in advance. We have plenty of room left, but if you want to sign up before the end of the year for a Q1 scholarship, there's some great opportunities right there to take advantage of some promotions. And obviously, don't hesitate to contact me directly. I'll put you in touch with somebody on my team. That's mbaum@aftercollege.com, or you can always contact talent@aftercollege.com as well. But again, scholarships, don't sleep on scholarships. Really valuable, and something that I think a lot of companies, they don't think they can afford to get involved in it, so they don't. I mentioned before, I want to take a little bit deeper dive into some of our case studies, into some of our success stories. Obviously, if you have questions, please keep lobbing them over. I'm going to stop at any point when I hear questions that are valid from here on out. So, go ahead and throw them in. I think we might actually have one question now. Let's see here. So you're going to be detailed about the Silicon Valley Challenge. Yes, so this is where we're going into the Silicon Valley Challenges. Thank you so much for asking. This is the depth that I wanted to get to. There's no other questions. The question is, can we deep dive? So we're going to deep dive. Airbnb is a great event marketing success story. Airbnb, Silicon Valley company, they had a big challenge because their brand wasn't that well known. Now, those of you who are in the Silicon Valley, probably like me, say, Airbnb, of course everybody knows Airbnb. I call companies all the time and talk to them about Airbnb. I have a whole team that tells this story and talks about Airbnb, and it's amazing how you talk to people in San Francisco and usually people in New York City, and they're like, yeah, of course, everybody knows Airbnb. If you talk to people almost anywhere else in the country, maybe sometimes Chicago or LA, the answer is always no, what's Airbnb? And sometimes after you talk to them a little bit about it, they remember. But believe it or not, even in 2014, those of you who know Airbnb are shocked that there are people on this call who don't. But it's true. Airbnb is one of these companies that has this amazing brand in pockets. Uh, they are a site where you can go and rent out your extra room, rent out your house for as a vacation rental, temporary rental. People use them very heavily here in San Francisco and New York and a lot of other markets, international even. They've gotten very big over the last 5, 6 years. And they came to us, this would have been 2012. This was actually right around the time I started here at AfterCollege. They came to us and they said, you got to help us. Our CTO, and I'm not going to read this word for word. You can read along if you want with me, but we'll also be providing, we're happy to provide copies of the text for any of these case studies. Any part of the presentation that you want, just let us know. But they came to us and said, you got to help us. Our CTO is doing a talk at Harvard, and he booked a 100-seat room, and he expected there to be all these Harvard MBAs and all these Harvard tech grads or students, upcoming grads to fill out the room. It's 2 weeks away. We have 3 people signed up. And so, 97 seats left to fill. They came to us. And so we did what we do for all of our event marketing. We sent out the email promoting it to the target audience. We leveraged the faculty members, and we especially leveraged the student groups on campus at Harvard. That was really huge for us. The university relations team made sure that the student groups got involved. And you can see this graph might be a little hard to read if you're on a smaller screen, but you can kind of see how over the course of time from September going up through October, this event was first promoted or created back in early September. A couple signups, got those 2 or 3 signups. And then right around October 9th, you'll see that's where we jumped in and we started promoting. And the number of RSVPs jumped from the single digits to the triple digits in the course of about 3 days. So that's really what it's all about. This is a great example. Obviously, results vary. Just like a diet plan, everybody's different. You might lose the weight, you might not lose the weight, but we can tell you from experience that this is what happened for Airbnb's RSVPs. We have other stories like this, and I'll touch on LSI in a second too. That's a really great one. But this is a great success story, and again, happy to answer any questions. Provide the full text of the case study if you didn't get a chance to read it here. But I'm going to move on to another great case study here. Also a Silicon Valley company, not a tech company, not necessarily traditionally considered a Silicon Valley company, but Kaiser Permanente, they are the healthcare company of most of Silicon Valley, and another one where they have probably amazing brand in pockets because they're probably the West Coast's biggest healthcare provider. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It depends on how you define it, I'm sure, but in my opinion, they're the only company that they're the only organization where every company I've ever worked at, I had the option of using their insurance. They provide the healthcare insurance for a huge, huge chunk of the West Coast. And yet, when they try to recruit physicians or physical therapists or nurses assistants from Drexel or from colleges in Ohio or Chicago or Miami, kids say, what's Kaiser Permanente? Their brand is super strong here in California, not so strong in the rest of the country. If they only recruited here, that wouldn't be a problem, but they recruit from the whole country. So I was really excited when Scott McGuckin, who runs their university relations, agreed to do this, because what he wanted to talk about was the fact that we were able to deliver over 47,000 internship and new grad job views over the course of a year. We got 2,000 targeted applications and referrals from highly qualified candidates, 3,700 clicks into that university site, that Kaiser's university site, and the University Talent Network. And this is where I tell the story of Archimedes. All right, I know, kind of random. Suddenly I'm jumping into ancient mathematics. But you've ever heard the phrase eureka? Eureka means I have found it. And Archimedes was a mathematician who was entrusted by the king. The king he had plundered gold, all this treasure that he had. He took 2,765 grams of that gold and he gave it to his most trusted blacksmith to forge a crown. That blacksmith figured out that he could kind of sneak in some other cheaper metal, and as long as it still weighed 2,765 grams, he'd be okay, and he could keep some of the gold for himself. All good, right? Smart. That makes a lot of sense. However, Archimedes figured out that he could measure the crown volumetrically and figure out that it didn't have the right volume for 2,765 grams, because when he put it in water, it displaced more water than it was expected to. That's volumetric measurement, and that's the analogy that I like to use for how you can keep an eye on some of the really key traffic coming to your site that ATS and ATS sourcing and traditional tracking will always miss. This is probably the topic. I've been beating this drum for 10 years at every company I've ever worked at. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And allretailjobs.com did a study way back in 2006 that I'm pretty sure is 100% accurate today still. And what I think is 100% accurate is that they found ATS sourcing data to be 83% inaccurate. Only 17% of the people who were sourced through an ATS that they find were accurately tagged with their origin point. Automated's better, but still highly questionable. Manual is a mess, and the candidates just guess. There's a rhyme for you. I threw in a rhyme too. So we got Archimedes, we got Cat in the Hat. I'm throwing everything at you here to get across the point that you can't just live on the metrics. The metrics are great, and metrics are important, and database decision making is here to stay. But there are, and actually, these are metrics too, but kind of untraditional metrics. What Scott McGuckin found from Kaiser Permanente was that he saw, when he ran campaigns with us, traffic to his university website, his university recruitment website, went up. He looked in Google Analytics, and he saw that branded searches were up. More people were searching for Kaiser Permanente jobs. And the reason why, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out. How do you look for a job? The last time you looked for a job, what did you do? Did you go find a job on a job board, click that job, and then apply directly through that job board? Very few people are doing that anymore. What a lot of people are doing now, the majority of people, the intelligent job seeker really, is they're finding that job, they are reading it on the job board, and then they are going to that company's career site, reading about that company, learning about whatever the company has to offer for them, the content that they've made available for them, and then, if they're impressed by that company's employment brand and they're impressed by who that company is culturally, then they apply to the job directly. And then when you ask them where they found it, they either don't remember, or they guess, or they straight up lie. So, your sourcing data is not always accurate. What you want to look at to make sure that you're understanding how your brand, your employment brand is doing, and not just how your individual jobs are doing, is, like I said, things like spikes on traffic when you start doing promotion with companies like AfterCollege. You want to look at, like I said, branded searches, people typing in things like Kaiser Permanente jobs. And then I want to show you another cool success story here, another Silicon Valley success story. Such a good success story that the company involved in it no longer exists. They were bought out. And so, doing so well that somebody said, oh, we need them, and swoop them up. You know how Silicon Valley is. LSI, and I have a case study with all the words that you can read, and we can pass that off to you. I didn't want you guys to be spending this webinar reading several hundred words. But in a nutshell, Erin at LSI provided us with the data to show that when she started working with us on event marketing, the baseline of January of 2012, by 2013, she had doubled the attendance to her events. And so again, I can't give out the actual stats. So where you see 0, 1, 2, 3, that's not one attendee. That's one is the baseline. So say that's 1,000 attendees. She doubled it in 1 year of working with us. So the overall attendance by promoting all of her events through AfterCollege doubled. Then from 2012 to 2013, doubled again. Now we're up to 4x. And then they saw another increase, about 30%. So as you can see, at the end of the day, then they saw another increase of 130%. So at the end of the day, we actually saw, I believe that the final calculation was 520% increase over 2.5 years. This is what I'm talking about. Sending one email and expecting the results is not the way to do it. You don't buy commercials on TV by buying one 30-second spot and saying, my business isn't thriving, I guess TV commercials don't work. Coke doesn't buy one Super Bowl ad and then not advertise for the rest of the year. This is a strategy that has to be ongoing. And that's why we had to make some dramatic changes here too. We were selling email campaigns one at a time. And when we kind of figured out earlier this year that it was too stifling. It wasn't giving our customers the freedom and the flexibility to figure out what they wanted to do on the fly, and it was too expensive. We were really focused on having these 1 or 2 campaigns a year be these huge blowouts and be super successful. And the truth of the matter is, even emails that are not spam get missed. How many times have you missed an email and somebody had to come and ask you, hey, did you get that email? And it's not even a spam email. So email marketing like ours that's coming from either from AfterCollege or coming from you, it's much easier for that stuff to get missed. You have to repeat the message. You have to get it out there over and over again. You have to make absolutely sure that it's being seen, and just sending it once isn't good enough. You have to send a variety of messages. And we have another webinar, I think you can actually watch the video of it, about content marketing. And content marketing is really where you take interesting information and repackage it so that people are learning and growing while they're also getting your marketing message. And then that's another thing that, like I said, we're seeing more and more of that in recruitment. So that's why we shifted to what we call the credits model. One price for all the ways you recruit. So credit can be used several different ways. You can use it, primarily we use it to run email outreach campaigns. One credit is one school. That includes all the students and the faculty in any departments that you want to target for that particular message. We can also do alumni, and so you can do 1,000 alumni recipients for a single credit. You can also use it to promote an individual job posting using our targeted email technology, same sort of technology that Explorer uses to figure out what jobs are relevant for a job seeker. We reverse that and take a job and say what job seekers are relevant for this job and email it out to them. We can also do the on-campus event promotion. There's 2 ways that we can do that. We can list that event on our site, and then we can also promote it via email. So most companies, they use 2 credits. They do the email promotion and the listing, so 2 credits per event. And then if you have your own scholarship program that you want to promote, you can list that on AfterCollege alongside the scholarships that we do, and that just costs 1 credit. So credits, I'm only showing you really the tip of the iceberg for a 5 or a 10 credit package. These are what the smallest starter packages are. Really, we don't even recommend starting with anything less than a 20 credit package. But the reason I'm not including the pricing is because it's going to be different for everybody depending on what else you want to package with it. Do you want to do the scholarships? Do you want to have the job postings? Right now, being Q4, this is a great time to talk to us because we can do some things that are very, very unique and different that will hopefully put you in a position to make the most of your budget and also put you in a position to spend an entire year with us working on building your brand on campus and making sure that you're getting the most out of AfterCollege, that you're getting the most out of your brand on campus. We want to touch on a couple other things real quick before we run out of time. The talent network. I mentioned this briefly before. There's a lot of companies out there that have software for this, like Taleo actually bought a company that did this called Select Minds. And talent networks are essentially, we call it bench building. It's building a bench of talent that you can go back to later. It's the folks who maybe they're not ready for the job you have today. Maybe they just graduated and they're going to go and work at PwC before they go and work for the small accounting firm. And so they want to put in a couple of years at the big brand. They want to go work for Google or Salesforce before they go and work for your tech company. Putting them in your talent network is a great way to keep in touch with them. And so anytime they show interest in any manner in your company, we put them in your talent network. So they can click follow, and then they become a part of your talent network, as you see in the VMware example. Discovery, Pfizer, those are all follow buttons. They can also, whenever they apply to one of your jobs, whenever they click on a link in one of your emails that AfterCollege sends, and whenever they RSVP to one of your events or apply to one of your scholarships, they automatically become a part of your talent network. When they're in your talent network, a couple great things happen. First off, they get these emails that show them jobs that are relevant for them. This is someone who's following the NSA. They get an email every time the NSA has new relevant jobs for them. If you don't have new jobs, if you have evergreen jobs, then there will still be a regular rotation where your email will come up and get seen by that potential candidate. So it's a great way to remind them, especially if they're a junior and they decide to follow your company, and then over the course of the next year plus, they continue to see interesting jobs that your company has that are relevant for them. Then over the course of that year, they're constantly reminded about your brand. And then when they graduate or they're getting ready to start looking for jobs senior year, they say, gosh, I remember VMware. I was getting all those emails about VMware. Or, man, NSA had some really great opportunities for me right in my backyard, right where I want to move back to after I finish college. And after college knew that I was interested in those jobs in those locations and served them up to me. So that's why I remembered it. And so that's a way to compete with, again, those companies that are always on campus over and over and over again. The other way that the Talent Network is helpful, before I forget, we can actually now run email campaigns. This is brand new, starting this quarter. We can now run custom email campaigns just to your talent network, just to the followers that you have. So this is a great way to really build upon the success that you have connecting with these students. They've already shown interest. Now you can reinforce it by just targeting them rather than, again, just letting them get the job postings that are relevant to them via email. You can get a branded message out in front of them. Couple more quick success stories. Again, not going to read them for you. Going to try to summarize. Revolution Foods, another cool Silicon Valley-based company in a sense. They're in Oakland actually. So East Bay. I'm from the San Francisco's East Bay as well. So I like to represent. And Revolution Foods, just such an awesome story because they're a company that's trying to bring healthy lunches to schools all over the country. But when you start out doing something awesome like that, you have to get your brand out there. Their brand did not have the kind of visibility that they were looking for, so they worked with us to get their jobs posted and wrapped every night. We wrapped their jobs. We grab them off their site. They don't have to do any work, and then we get their jobs distributed out in these digest emails to people for whom they're relevant. It gives them a ton of visibility, and again, even if they're not getting an applicant out of a view, every time that someone sees their jobs, that is a brand message. That's a reinforcement that there is this awesome brand called Revolution Foods that they might want to be a part of. Chloe and Isabel, they're also now based in Oakland. A company that what they are doing is really fun and cool. It's a site for it's a jewelry site, and they find that they always struggle, even for customer service roles, competing with the Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world. There are big, cool, awesome companies with awesome, huge brands that are hiring for even the most menial jobs, the most entry-level jobs, even the most basic building blocks of the career. You can go and start your career at Facebook. How cool would it be to have a customer service job be your first job at Google? So it's tough for companies like Chloe and Isabel to compete. Chloe and Isabel say that when they run campaigns with us, that's only then do they feel like they're competing. Only then do they start to get candidates who say, yeah, I'm also interviewing at Google, but you know what, I chose to go with you because we've been reinforcing the brand message, because we've been showing them what a great place Chloe and Isabel is to work, because on a targeted basis for those individual candidates for whom it's relevant, we're getting the message out to them enough that they actually think more about Chloe and Isabel than they do about Google. That's the key. That's the key, really, is to surpass your competition. I'll tell one more quick success story because for those of you who didn't think that the other success stories were Silicon Valley enough, here's a Silicon Valley style success story. A company that's looking for engineers. They are specifically looking for they do research and development. So pretty high level engineers that they're looking for. Projects like spacecraft cryogenic systems, and then DSP, digital signal processing software for cardiology. Really advanced, high-tech stuff. But here's the challenge. They're not in Silicon Valley. They are in Hanover, New Hampshire. And getting your brand out and getting people interested in working for you when you're in Hanover, New Hampshire, that is a challenge. They've been working with us for years. And as a matter of fact, Sarah, bless her heart, she's actually leaving Creari pretty soon here. But she has been willing to serve as a reference for us, and we hope that she'll continue to do so because she loves telling people about how great AfterCollege has been for Creari's brand and giving them, just like Chloe and Isabel, giving them the visibility to get out in front of these specialized, really diversified engineering disciplines from a targeted audience that is nationwide. They can't recruit in their backyard. Hanover, New Hampshire does not have enough DSP engineers and enough spacecraft cryogenics experts. They have to go nationwide. And so, they can tell stories about how many hundreds of resumes they've gotten in this very small targeted group. So, on that, I leave you. We are officially out of time. I'm so glad that you guys who stuck around and hung out. Actually, you already hung out for the deep dive stories. This was the slide that was supposed to be earlier, but you guys already hung out for the deep dive into the success stories. I really appreciate it. Again, it was really a pleasure. If you do have any additional questions, that I know Austin answered most of your questions, it sounds like, on a one-to-one basis, please don't hesitate to email me directly. Matt Baum, MBAUM at aftercollege.com, first initial, last name. You can always email talent@aftercollege.com, and we would love to hear from you and see if there's anything else that we can do. Enjoy the rest of the holiday season. Enjoy Happy New Year, and hopefully we'll be talking to some of you guys again soon. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.